Welcome. In this episode of Product Bytes, we talk with Suman Sarkar. He is the head of digital product management for OneMain Financial. He was also a senior director of product management at Capital One. So Suman brings a lot of experience in product management in the financial services industry. Welcome, Suman. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity. Suman Sarkar. How do I introduce? So I think most of my life I have spent doing product management in the fintech companies back in Bay Area, primarily at Yodlee for almost a decade, where I built a lot of the flagship products and the platforms we had there. Moved over to the financial services industry um, and was at Capital One, a lot of the retail banking transformation over there. And then last few years, I have been working in lending industry, um, again in digital product management, omni-channel, kind of the focus areas.
Very cool. And where are you now?
Now I'm running the product team at OneMain Financial. OneMain is the largest, I think they're the largest, like the personal loan installment lending industry in the country.
So I'd be curious to hear about how did you get into a product management career? What was your step? How did you get there?
By accident. Um, by accident, it's not so much as an accident, I would say, but I saw an opportunity. I raised my hand, and people around me trusted me for that role. I was working at Yodlee. I was in their professional services department. I was running a lot of high-profile customer implementations of our product, and I became a subject matter expert of the product itself through that. And I could tell lots of things our product managers were not thinking of when they were trying to build it was a complex product because it was a B2B2C product, and the product managers were thinking from a B2C point of view. It's somewhat easier to think, I think, when you think from a customer is logging in and doing stuff. But then moment you talk about, okay, you want to sell the product to a financial institution like a bank, and they will expose it to a customer. So there's lots of those requirements used to get lost. And so I kept on complaining to the product team saying that why this is not happening, why this is not happening. And at some point I looked at myself and was like, what's stopping us for me to own this problem? So I just raised my hand saying that, guys, I know I've been complaining about the product, but I'm raising my hand to fix it. And that started my product management career. Yeah.
What do you see as opportunities? Where is product management going? What do you see as opportunity for product managers to grow their career?
It's not a very defined role, right? So it's very difficult, I think, to box product manager within five bullets on a piece of paper saying that this is your job, right? Because as a product manager, as you say, right, you are supposed to solve a problem, right? And when you are trying to solve that problem, you may have to wear different hats, right? And so that's why boxing a product manager is very difficult, and I don't think people get it. One of my mentors used to say, product manager is the monkey in the middle. It's you are really trying to get everybody together, right, and craft a solution, solving a problem. And when you are working in my space, for example, if I'm working in a fintech company versus when I'm working in a financial services company as a product manager, the landscape is so very different. I do very different things.
I can see the difference. Yeah.
Right. And also the large enterprises, like especially in the industry I'm in, they know that they have to behave like a fintech. Otherwise they won't survive. So you have, on one hand, you have this top-down decisioning what you talked about. On the other hand, there is a desire to change it, but they don't really know how to change it. And that's where I think, um, for example, I was recruited to OneMain exactly for that purpose. Like when I was interviewing them, they said, we need to bring in product mindset or the product thinking in this company. Now, so that's like literally you are, on one hand, you are trying to execute on a top-down decisions, and at the same time trying to reverse the course. So those things become less and less, and you are trying to create those empowerment and empowered teams, and those small core teams in the company who are empowered to make decisions which drive the business. So and so I think product management becomes and design, I think, becomes like those pillars or those things people anchor on to make that transformation.
You said we need to introduce product thinking, product mindset. Are there specific like activities, specific techniques? What are you looking for in a product manager to say, yes, that person has a product mindset, or no, that person is not because they're doing something different?
I think it's a largely it's about being comfortable in a very ambiguous white space environment. I think if I am continuously asking for clarity of role, I am probably not going to be a very good product manager, because I think circumstances really define a lot of those clarity. Sometimes I may be a content writer, sometimes I may be maybe doing something else based on what my team needs, right? I think being comfortable with the fact that I will be required to play different roles, and my job is to get people together and help people make a decision. That the aspect of collaboration, the aspect of uh, working backward from a customer point of view, right? A lot of times, especially in large organizations, in those top-down decision model, it's the business, those KPIs, those big dashboards drive your product decisions. And sometimes it's the whole Wells Fargo thing, right? That you want to drive what cross-sell units, and that drove the behavior of a large amount of frontline associates to do borderline unethical or actually unethical things with the customer, right? Um, so that's what happens when you are doing those top-down decisions. But then how do you think? How do you push back? By thinking from a customer point of view, and have the courage to stand up for the customer, have the courage to actually spend the time to understand what the customer needs. Because it's very easy to, even if you don't do that in a large enterprise, for example, you may be fine, right? Because somebody told you, we're just doing it. But then create that space for yourself, transform the organization by creating that space for yourself.
I recently heard from somebody and said, I actually don't want to, I'm afraid of empowering my product managers because I don't know what they're going to do then. And then I risk that they build something that I don't want them to build and so on. So I prefer to keep the decision in me. And there was a higher level executive. So in talking about this, in talking about top-down decision and whether you empower your people or you maintain authority over the product, which one of these is a higher risk? What do you think?
Let me put it this way. I have seen very few examples where a top-down decision making actually arises out of empathizing with a customer. It becomes lecturing the customer as opposed to listening to the customer. You have to be talking to your customers, um, uh, and and uh, and I think in Capital One, Rich Fairbank used to say, right, if you cannot, the solution you build, if you cannot sell it to your grandmother or you cannot show it to your grandmother, then you built something wrong. Something like that, like the whole concept of unassailable, right? It is so important, like especially in the financial services industry, where there is always something going on, right? Globally, like this bank is going bankrupt, or they have Wells Fargo had bad practices, and it impacts a ton of people. So I think product management is a really important function to bring in that voice of the customer, that, hey, if I think from a customer point of view, is this really needed? Why are we having this practice? Even if that moves the stock price or the unit volume and things like that, right? Are there other ways of accomplishing the same objective?
If you look at your team and you want to help them grow as a team or as professionals, what challenges are they facing? Where are they struggle? Where they less effective?
I think product managers in many companies, not everywhere, they also own the execution responsibilities. I think that drags them down. That's like, I want to take a step back and somebody's pulling me back 3 steps, right? I think product managers need to be paired up or complemented with really good scrum masters, truth tellers, right? So they are solving for impediments, solving for execution. So the product manager can obsess about the value they're creating. I think a lot of organizations short sell the product manager role, and they give these additional responsibilities, and then the product manager spends less time in figuring out the value creation of it, right? I think it's really the organizational construct which can make a product manager flourish or make them good in execution, but different roles. I have a very interesting, unique situation here, because I think we kind of talked about it. You probably figured out that I inherited a team where the product managers were recruited with the expectation that we'll be telling you what to do and you'll do it. Now, we are changing the game, right? We are saying that, no, that's not how things should work, right? Now that is putting pressure on not only on the organization side. Now, all of a sudden, people have to look at these product managers with a different lens. One huge problem everywhere I see is this waiting for the perfect moment. I don't have all the answers, so I'm not ready to talk about it. I'm like, no, you don't need all the answers. You will never have all the answers. Come on. So you have to start somewhere, be willing to feel uncomfortable or vulnerable, and sometimes you will show a sorry face. But that's okay. And then you get yourself up and start running again. Otherwise, it will never happen, right? You have to do it.
Then what?
Yeah.
How do you sustain that? How do you keep that going?
And part of that is very important, is also to have a top management buy into that transformation agenda, right? The very fact that you are doing it for a company, that means there is some support, but is that support a real support versus a, it's like doing agile, right? Doing agile, to me, so somebody gave me this, and I really love it. He said, doing agile is like going to the church. You go to the church every Sunday because you have a ritual. And then some people go to the church every Sunday because they believe in that institution. So this guy told me this agile, I find that is very similar to that, right? You a lot of people will say, yeah, I have daily stand-ups, I have this, I have retros, and I write stories, and I have a grooming backlog, and as a result, I am best class agile. But if the agile is not helping me drive a business outcome faster or drive a customer outcome faster, it doesn't matter. So
Suman, it was a pleasure talking with you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. And I wish you all the best for your YouTube channel and everything else. What's the name of the company?
The name of the channel is Product Bytes.
Product Bytes. Nice. Very nice.